Hello everyone, this is the Gamer Outdoorsman here, and today I am back with another episode of the Hunter Talks. I know it's been a long time, but we've had some technical difficulties um, over the last month, but this should be the final time I try to make one of these. This should actually make it onto YouTube, so with any sort of luck. But today I'm here with Moose Hunter. Say hello.
Hi.
And today we're going to be talking about the animations, which is a subject that we are both very passionate about, um, and why it's basically the main reason that I think a lot of people have trouble enjoying the Hunter how we used to. Um, so first of all, um, the animations that we currently have are for like the new ones that they've been making, I think are pretty much all spot on. But of course, there's still some issues that will need to be fixed out by the time they can sort of set the animations aside. Probably one of the biggest things that they need to start on, like probably the priorities, would be for one, the camera snaps, uh, which are being quite annoying. Specifically with free look is probably the biggest issue. Um, which this probably relates a little bit more to like just sort of the view, the way the viewing looks in the Hunter, like viewpoints. But yeah, there's just a lot of snapping with a lot of the current animation cycles. One of the biggest issues is right there with the Blazer. That's a new one that happened when they redid the animation, which is really good, but that sort of snap at the end kind of, it just makes me feel dizzy, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
think I think earlier for reloading you didn't zoom out with your view, and when they changed it so that you zoom out with your view to reload, now it just snaps back instead of sliding the view forward. Especially bad on the Mosin Nagant as well.
hmm Yeah, so obviously I doubt that's intentional, but of course that's just one thing that they'll have to fix. Um, the free look issue will have to, that's been around for ages, but hopefully they get that like change that pretty soon, because with any luck they will make it so that free look is borderline irrelevant, because that would be my dream, because I'm kind of sick of constantly going into free look just to sort of comfortably look around.
And if I may add something to that, earlier we had this thing with the dead zones with the camera and the body movement, so that you could look up and down without your weapon moving. It was attached to your arms and not to your eyes. So if you would look up, you would just move your head up and not your arms with your head and the weapon with your arms. If you get my point here, and you would only move your torso after you would have moved your head, and it would drag the arms after your movement of the eyes.
hmm I also feel like the weapon or just items in general need to be especially the hunter mate. I think it needs, all the animations need to be sort of loosened up, because the hunter mate has basically turned into a mini map for like a first person shooter, um, and rather than like a GPS like it's supposed to be, which really annoys me. Um, it's gotten to the point where sometimes I will just straight up not use the hunter mate in a game, just go around looking at tracks, uh, rather than collecting them, simply because I don't want to like have the hunter made out. But
Earlier, if I may add something to that, earlier you had the hunter made out and you would flail it around a bit while you were running, especially. So that would make it, first of all, harder to look at it while you're running, and you would actually have to stand still to navigate. And also, it would make it look much more normal because I don't know any person who can run with any kind of technical stuff around like that and keep it steady in their hand.
yeah, that's actually one thing that I was noticing about like old footage is like sometimes when I'm walking around, I have to press the C button just to figure out if I'm running or not. Um, because there's almost no difference between walking and running with the animations, especially with the hunter made out. Uh,
They just get faster and slower.
yeah, and it already moves so slightly that it's almost impossible to see if it's changed. So that's another thing is like it. I remember back then it always felt like you were being super loud when you're running around, and I it like sort of forced you to realize that you're going to make everything in the area spook just because of how sort of fast and um, how much your character was moving on your screen. It sort of like made it feel like you were really booking it through the woods, and that's gonna make a lot of noise. But now it's just sort of like you're a hovering camera.
I think that describes it very well. A hovering camera with a gun installed in front.
hmm But yeah. So obviously stiffness and camera snapping and stuff like that needs to be fixed. That's probably going to be the biggest priority. Um, all right, the next thing that I want to talk about a little bit is the camera positions and specifically with like looking down iron sights and stuff like that. One of the big issues that I've started to come realize I've slowly started to not like iron sight hunting because of uh, the viewpoint that it has. They changed it. Originally, it was sort of like well, first of all, they didn't have the zoom, like 2 times zoom, uh, that they have now when you look down iron sights, which I don't really know why they added it.
In one status update, I think it was, where they added the third person view for taking your profile picture, I think it was. There they actually said it was to simulate the hunter taking aim, but that doesn't make any sense either because I think your weapon moves forward with you when you're taking a step forward and taking aim. So
hmm Yeah, like to be honest, I don't think that there should be any sort of like additional zooming. It just sort of like it's kind of like makes it feel like you're just not paying attention to a lot of things. That and it kind of makes iron sights borderline overpowered. Because I remember at one point, I think it was when I got the Carbon 300, the iron sights. That was the first rifle I got, powerful rifle, that had a really any kind of decent iron sights. And I remember using it once. For quite a long time, I was only using it without a scope, simply because I could easily drop like brown bear and things that you normally have to be very careful where you aim, even with large weapons, at up to like 150 meters with iron sights, and that's a little bit overpowered, if you
if you
ask
know,
me.
if you know me, I love shooting with iron sights. If you look at my videos, I often make kills with the 30-06 at extreme ranges with iron sights because it's just so overpowered. I remember I once killed a hog at 230 meters with irons.
Hmm.
That's insane.
Not to mention that also hurts the whole not needing. It also like makes it easier for people to notice things like the short render distance for animals, because people can so easily push out to those ranges that it becomes an issue. People want to shoot further, but they can't because they can't see the animals. Um, but yeah, there was other parts, specifically, um, it's not so bad on this particular gun, but especially on like the rifles, a lot of the time. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure the oldest rifles demonstrate it the most. Um, you can see the originally you could never see the buttstock or the comb specifically of the gun when you look down on iron sights. Um, you could, and it also kind of made the grip area look sort of elongated, and yeah, it was kind of a strange thing. I'm not entirely sure how they accomplished that, uh, but all I know is that it looks 10 times better, and it actually it demonstrates some like optical illusions that actually happen in real life when you're sort of looking down a sight like that.
Yeah,
Um,
for example, it's in the Hunter already. For example, when you take out a revolver and use free look to put it at the edge of your screen, it gets gigantic. And just like that, everything you see from the corner of your eye looks bigger, looks longer, and that's the issue with the buttstock, I think. If you ever shot a real weapon, you're used to it, and it's hard feeling the game as real as it wants to be without this illusion.
I think part of the issue with that might also have come with the viewpoint, or yeah, the magnification. I'm not sure what that effect had on the that sort of view, but if that could be brought back, I would be very happy. Because it would also make a lot of things like the iron sights for the old guns. Like looking back at old footage, you can't really notice how bad the specifically the pump shotgun, which is still around, and also the old rifles. When multiplayer came out and they sort of changed the viewpoints, you could really tell that the iron sights, especially on these rifles, looked terrible. They were just completely like they were sort of off. They were huge. They were weird looking.
And
Before,
they were triangular.
yeah, before you couldn't tell that, and I remember like actually kind of liking the iron sights back then, and it purely came down to just the way you look down the sights now, is why it got so bad, and you can sort of still tell with the shotgun. It it does not look any kind of good.
You know, one other thing that has gone with the zoom is the revolvers looking realistic because they're gigantic and in your face. They look like you're holding them about, I don't know, 3 inches from your face. And that shouldn't be like it. So if you look at the old revolver aiming stances, you see that they are in front of you as if you would stretch your arms out.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure how it was. I'm really curious because I have a feeling it would be both a little bit easier and a little bit harder to hunt birds with them shotguns with the old animations, simply because well, there was two things that I vaguely remember. I didn't really have a membership ever before they changed it much. Actually, no, I didn't even get a membership until after they changed it. But they, I remember when I used to do the sort of pheasant tutorial, it was really difficult for me to aim very well, simply because, well, to be precise with the shotgun, it was quite hard because of that sort of, you didn't have the zoom that you have now. But another thing that it might help with, especially with I would think things like ducks and geese, is right now you're very zoomed in, and so you can barely see out of your peripheral vision, at least how you would normally be able to do. So a lot of times I have trouble um, like seeing where the birds are. I'll shoot the one that I'm aiming at, and then I'll have to, unaim the gun, look for the next one, and then re-aim. Before, if it wasn't so zoomed in, you might not even have to do that most of the time.
I think it now feels like you're moving the front side of it as if you had your hand at the front side. Earlier, it was more like you had your hand on the forward stock, and now it just feels like you're being. It feels like your arms are very stiff and it doesn't move naturally.
Hmm. Yeah, that actually brings me to my next thing is the animations, the current ones, especially the idle animations, which is probably the one that this applies to the most. Uh, they're very, they used to be very smooth and relaxed, and now they're very stiff and just awkward. Um,
Yeah,
like,
for example, I've taken out the 22 pistol here, if you can see that.
mhm,
The reload animation is basically like out with the magazine, in with the magazine, Raxel slide. In real life, you wouldn't do that. You would press the mag release, take out the magazine, line a new one up, put it in, and then release the slide. And all that would be not as fast and not as boxy.
mhm. But yeah, I think yeah, another thing that's kind of like that is even with the current or the new animation for the Blazer, there's only one little thing that I kind of don't like about it currently, and that's you don't really work the lever very well with it. You just sort of like flick it open, and in real life, I have a gun that's very similar to this, and I'm not sure if there's much difference between a Blazer and mine. I would assume not, but it's just about impossible to flick it open so easily, uh, the way you do it so fast that you can hardly see it in the animation.
And when I visited the hunting expo last year, or this year, I can't remember, but I actually handled a Blazer F3 there, and it has a special mechanic, which is that the barrels are really shut. You have to open them with force after working the lever. That's, of course, a good thing in real life, but I can imagine that it would be pretty much a pain to model in game. But if they could do it, that would make the gun feel much more natural.
Hmm. I'm trying to think. Another thing that will be need. I think this is kind of related, but a big thing that they need to change, uh, maybe back if that's still possible, um, is the recoil animations. It's just right now, especially with shotguns, it's very just not really. It doesn't really make much sense the way the recoil works. Um, I think. I'm trying to remember what exactly they said when they changed it originally. I think they said something about how they removed the camera shake from it or something like that. But yeah, right now the biggest issue that I think I have with it is there's not really any the there's no good downward recoil on it. Uh, the for probably the easiest way I could sort of explain this is when I when you shoot a gun in real life, especially a shotgun, um, for trap, especially in bird hunting, you need to stay like basically aimed in all the time, even after during your shooting, for the most part. If especially for like ducks and stuff, if you want to get another shot in, you have to keep aimed in and be able to know where your gun is going to be pointed. And a big part of that is never losing sight of your front sight or front bead. And right now, there's a good part of the animation for recoil where you can't even see the front bead. It dips down uh, below the back of the gun, which is really confusing. And I know that it's made it a lot harder to shoot birds and pretty much anything. Follow-up shots ever since they changed that have been next to impossible for me. Um, I usually
Yeah,
have to wait for a little bit for me to regain my sort of aim.
yeah, I think it was earlier in the hunt, it was like your front sight would stay in the middle of the screen where you would shoot the next time, but the buttstock would recoil into your shoulder, and you would like look up a little bit, but then
Hmm.
go back to your aiming position. So it actually looked like the gun would recoil into your shoulder.
Yeah. All I know is that as soon as that update went live, I could basically not hit both of the clay targets at the range with the double barrel shotgun. It became impossible for me. I mean, yeah, I can do it, but it's usually just luck, and it's definitely gotten way harder. I've slowly gotten sort of used to it now, but if they could fix that, that would be I would that would be one of the top things that I think they need to fix. Especially since one of the big things that I kind of liked about the Hunter originally is it was one of the few games that I felt had like realistic gunplay mechanics for hunting games. You know, wasn't any of the like sort of more first person shooter type mechanics like a lot of the Cabela's games that I had played before that.
Yeah, that brings me to a very big issue because in the Cabela's games, it's you can best explain it with Doom. You know, most of you have played Doom when it was out first, and you will most likely remember the shotgun. The sound it made, the animation it had, it just made you feel like a badass space marine. Now, in The Hunter, you must do the complete opposite. You must turn it around and make the animations let you feel like a calmed down hunter that is stalking his prey in the woods and not some guy who is sitting in cover and screaming for someone to pass him ammunition.
Yeah, one big thing that I remember is about the way your animations were before the updates is how smooth it was. Simply like made how smooth and calm the animations were. Uh, like for me, for an example, if I was sort of walking through the woods, I wasn't very good. I was really new to the game, and eventually I finally spotted a pretty nice buck, mule deer buck, after how many days of just failing to do anything really. And I shoot and maybe it's a bad shot or maybe it's a miss, or I'm not even really sure at the time because I'm just so new and not a very good shot, I'd be panicking and pressing the reload button to try to get another bullet into the 243. And sort of like my heart would be racing, I'd be like freaking out. And yet my character is there just sort of calmly opening it in, and I'd be like panicking, and my character would just be like, "You need to calm down. Don't worry."
Yeah, yeah, I think that's most likely what most of the people were taught in their childhood when they were hunting with their parents. For example, my father told me if I would miss, I should calm down and I shouldn't even take a running shot at the animal. Just calm down, it will be a good shot the next time. And your character just emulated that sort of mentoring.
Hmm. Yeah, and it wasn't even that the animations were necessarily like slow or sluggish. It was just sort of that they were so smooth and just sort of relaxed that it sort of forced me to calm down, um, just because of how my character was sort of acting.
Yeah, I think that describes it perfectly.
Um, so yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much everything without going into too many specifics. Um, so in recap, the animations need to be loosened up and smoothened, and probably one of the first big things that need to be taken care of is camera snaps and the viewpoint, um, especially in first person. Um, that can really help just the general feel of the game. I know that especially with the free look, it's gotten to the point where some of my videos where I'm sort of forgetting to not use it so much, it actually YouTube detects that my camera is shaky like a GoPro film and asks to stabilizes it.
Yeah, the free look, it has turned into like some sort of a mini game for me. When I go into free look, look around for a bit, and then try to retract my camera to the exact spot where I started it, so it doesn't snap back into position.
Yeah, I actually do that a lot too. It's like, how close can I get it? I mean, usually it's not too hard since we're always used to everything being in the exact same place on the screen. But while you're walking around,
I mean, it's no challenge when the hunter mate is always in the same position.
yeah, it's so engraved in my mind at this point after how many years. But yeah, I think that's about it. Hopefully the devs, I doubt they will ever see this, but there's always hope that they'll at least start looking into these things. I mean, they obviously listened to somebody and changed some of the animations, which I am super happy about, and hopefully they continue to sort of make it at least as good, if not better, than what it used to be, because that is everything I could have asked for.
Yeah,
Is It just helps me, like, there's so many things that can be sort of fixed, and it just, you wouldn't notice all the issues with the game if it felt good to play it, you know?
you could almost make a second episode of this.
Yeah, yeah. We could rant on for hours, I'm sure, about every little thing that we think could be fixed or uh, what should be done, but at the end of the day, I doubt any of it will really happen. Uh, Hopefully, the main things that we point out might make it in, but we can always try. But that's gonna have to wrap it up. It's been a little bit longer than I hoped, but it's a big subject that needs to be addressed. So that is it for today. Please check out Moose Hunter's channel, Moose Hunter
Yeah,
330. I'll put it in the description.
yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and this has been the Gamer Outdoorsman. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. Hopefully I can get some more videos out soon. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.